Welcome back to the Human Nexus podcast. My name is Andrew Brazis. I am a business and marketing consultant and private chef.
Welcome back. My name is Miss Laura Machiste. I am an online tarot reader, holistic massage therapist, and energy coach. And in this episode, we are talking about zodiac signs connected to our charts as well as our experiences and throughout the year, the seasons, and the connection that they have to the body.
Do you want to start off with your big three?
Yeah, so I am an Aries rising, a Leo moon, and a Pisces sun. And what is yours?
I am a Leo sun, Capricorn moon, and Taurus rising. So we have a little kind of overlap there.
Leo sun, Capricorn moon, and Taurus rising.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, the earthy. So that's interesting. Yeah, you have like two earth and one fire, and I have two fire and one water
Mhm.
in there. Do you feel like you're more earthy?
Definitely. I thought for the longest time I thought my ascending sign was Gemini, and I
Mm,
was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I just like didn't resonate with any Gemini stuff as much, or I was like trying to force fit it. You know what I mean? To
right.
like make it make sense.
Yeah.
And then I called like where the place I was born and I like got the exact time. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, okay. This makes so much more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my time off by like a couple minutes, but it didn't
Hmm.
really like change anything in my chart.
Yeah.
But that would make sense as to why, because the Gemini rising would definitely not be as earthy
Yeah.
in like right up front for sure. And that's where when I like learned about what they meant of like the rising sign is how you come off, which makes a lot of
Hmm.
sense because everyone was always guessing a fire sign when they would try to guess my sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not.
Getting to know you more, that makes a lot of sense. And like the water aspect makes a lot of
Hmm.
sense. But initially I was like, oh yeah, she's definitely a fire sign for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely have all of the embodiment of the creative power, but I feel like with the Piscean energy, like if I want to escape all of it and just like literally throw water all over the fire,
Hmm.
that is also possible. So I feel like
Interesting.
that dual sense played out a lot in my life to where there would be this strong inspiration and interest, and then followed by water putting it out, basically.
Yeah.
So that's the
Is,
only time I feel like it really
and
comes
is
out.
is that a common Pisces trait?
I feel like Pisces are known to be escapists, like
Mm.
escapism in their energy, like daydreaming. I got really good at doing that, like disassociating, like in the moment and
Mm.
not being in the present at all, and being in like your own present. And that's where I feel like there is that detachment aspect that people don't really understand about Pisces, where like their stereotype is being, we're almost like going backwards here because we're starting off with Pisces.
Yeah.
Um, they get the stereotype of being like clingy, attachment style, hopeless romantics, and stuff like that. And yeah, part of that is true, but there's also like that total dual opposite to that,
Mm.
where there's no hope in love. They'll be alone forever.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going backwards, what would be before Pisces?
So before Pisces is Aquarius. So in
Okay.
terms of the way that the zodiac wheel goes, they indicate that like Aries starts as the baby and
Mhm.
Pisces is the
Like
wise grandfather or something.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the accumulation of all the signs in Pisces. So I feel like As a Piscean myself, nothing is really surprising
Hmm.
to me, but then I sometimes it is surprising. But a lot of the times there's that like, yeah, of course people would do that or be this way, or even if it's a really good thing, I'm like, yeah, of course you could win the lottery. And
Yeah.
it's just like that type of trait and aspect where to go maybe like, should we go backwards or should we start
It's up to you.
from
Yeah, we can.
I don't know either. I don't want to be confusing.
Now start from the. So number one would be
Yeah, so the first is Aries, which are
okay.
considered to be the baby of the zodiac, and their traits are in the sense of always wanting like that next best new thing per
Hmm.
se. You know how like a baby like, okay, first it's teething, then it's this, then it's that, then it's learning to feed, like all of like these new experiences as like a personality really would intrigue like an Aries person. Um where almost like as an Aries rising, I've had a million ideas, but I have maybe the Piscean wisdom to know that they're not all mine to take on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's
like
good.
if I had really, really strong Aries in my energy, I would probably be like in 1,000 different endeavors and doing this, opening up to that. And I feel like the experience of everything, you like, like if you really actually think of a baby, like they want to touch everything
Hmm.
and like stuff like that. And then it like moves to Taurus, who is that like adolescent,
Hmm.
who is like learning the importance of the things, the resources, what you have. So it like actually goes in alignment with that, and it like starts with the head. Aries like rules the head, and then
Hmm.
Pisces rules the feet. So there is each part of the body that we will get
Oh,
into
interesting.
here.
Okay, so where's Taurus at? Is that
So Taurus rules the throat.
interesting?
Um, yeah. So Aries can get like a rep of being a hothead,
Hmm.
quote
Yeah.
unquote. There is actually, I don't know if anybody has seen this, but there is a club in somewhere that there was a news article about them that they banned one specific zodiac sign.
Wait, is this real? Like recent news
Yes.
or yeah?
This is like, it's been out there for whatever point of time, but like you could probably look it up after this. And they banned one specific zodiac sign and they banned Aries.
Dang.
They're like stereotypically the most argumentative, but as we know here and how we just started this conversation, our sun sign doesn't mean everything,
Yeah.
so there are probably like those
I would
really
say
calm.
it's like you have that, and not to interrupt you, but then like you have all
Hmm.
the different versions in your chart.
Right.
Like I have no Pisces in my chart anywhere. But then you have like also all the stuff like you might be in Pisces season. And
Hmm.
then that, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That actually reminds me to connect that season. Like Aries is spring, like spring
Mm,
birth.
yeah.
um, Nature is blooming,
Hmm.
the child, the baby, and then it moves to Taurus of growing, and then it goes into the importance of like valuing things. Like Taurus
Hmm.
rules like our bank accounts and like what we have and how we value it and like what we feel is. Mm, I want to say like luxurious, but like everybody's view of luxury is different. Like some people, luxury is having a lot of free time. Other people,
Hmm.
it's riding on a yacht. Other people, it's like
Yeah.
having a big home and not having to go anywhere and just having that stable foundation. So, like, luxury looks different for everybody. And Taurus moves that energy out of the baby to give it that, like, okay, well, what do you value? What does mean something to you? Um, and they rule the throat as well as that season of continuous spring
Hmm.
as well. And who's next? Oh, Gemini. They, I think they're the shoulder area, like right here. I would
Hmm.
guess if it
So
like
like
goes
solar
down.
plexus and shoulders, or
Um,
maybe not that far down.
I wish I could like pull up the web survey here and
Yeah.
like search. I think it's I actually don't think it's that far away from the throat. I think Gemini is like right here, like
Hmm.
because head, neck, it's kind of like all connected in the sense
Yeah.
too. Where, so I would go for the like the shoulder area, like this area here, like the scapula, that like wing that we
Could
have.
you go as far as saying if somebody's having shoulder issues, then wherever Gemini is in their chart, they are out of alignment?
Yeah, so that's really interesting that you say that as well, because Audrey, our
Hmm.
recent guest, is actually studying something like that, to where she's going to incorporate the body work to their astrological chart and things
Hmm.
like
Oh yeah,
that.
she talked about
And
that quite a bit. Yeah.
and yes, that is real, right, and true, depending on like the person's openness about it, I guess, you know. But since I'm very observant and I do work in body work, it is very connective in my brain. Like
Yeah.
I asked them for their birthday. I like that one of my clients, she's a Pisces and she has plantar fasciitis, and Pisces rule the feet. And that's
Yeah. It's
posture
kind of wild.
restriction in the foot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there are all of these like interconnections, but since everybody is their like unique set of intelligence and blueprint,
Hmm.
that's where like self has its journey of like figuring it out, and that could be very helpful. Like I don't know, are there some Geminis on here that have a lot of shoulder pain? Could be.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you're a Gemini and you're
Mm-hmm.
watching this.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then what would that season be?
So Gemini is the end of May into June,
Mhm.
so that's kind of preparing us to step into that heat, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
and kind of where there isn't as much wind, or there isn't as much air, there isn't as much room to, you know, at the that point in your childhood when it just goes from you not really being that aware to like all of a sudden you're aware. I feel
Yeah.
like that happens in the Gemini stage,
Interesting.
where that double side of self comes in and it's like, oh, hold on,
Mhm.
the consciousness is starting to come in, the
Yeah.
awareness, the remembrance, and Gemini rules the mind. You start memorizing things more. Maybe you even start school at those points or end school. Right? No, it would be ending school.
Yeah.
Like in this day and age, but learning is very broad as well. But that is actually like, now I'm like thinking ahead too, because I'm like, wait a minute, what does Cancer rule? Because I know they're like connected to like certain
Is Cancer
organs.
next?
Yes, I
Okay.
know they're connected to certain organs too. So I want to know
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
organ they rule. Um,
Pull it up.
since Cancer is like a disease, it's giving me like that type of stuff. Okay, so Cancer rules the breast and the stomach. So Gemini
Interesting.
definitely probably rules the shoulders for
Yeah.
sure. Um, Gemini rules the lungs, the hands, and the nervous system. Okay, we have a bunch of answers now. It's giving me everything. Yeah, the lungs, the hands, and the nervous system for Gemini, which makes a lot of sense because they rule the third house, which is about communicating and
Mhm.
expressing ourselves. And as Taurus, you can have a throat, but Gemini is the one that uses it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
right. I'm learning stuff too right
Yeah. No,
now.
this is good.
um Interesting. So then I would say Cancer season kind of gives you that sense of like, once Gemini gives you the awareness of the mind, what comes next? Awareness of the feelings. So I kind of feel like
Oh,
that's where Cancer comes through.
yeah. And Cancer is that's the first water sign?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any Cancer in my chart.
Mhm.
I don't have any Gemini in my chart either, but I my Lilith is in Gemini, and she likes to play games sometimes. So I definitely feel like sometimes there's that.
What
weirdness.
What do you mean?
So Lilith is that like mysterious aspect to where like she challenges you to grow.
Hmm.
So since I have a Lilith in Gemini, I definitely at an early stage of my life had to grow through talking and like learning how to speak, like learning how to
Interesting.
approach people and like not make them feel like offended. Like sometimes I
Yeah.
have a resting a bitch face and I don't
Hmm.
know. And maybe my tone isn't the greatest or wasn't the greatest, but I taught myself how to be aware of like what my tone is or what I'm saying, how I'm being. And I feel like I still am working on it too, especially as someone who like does readings and
Yeah.
is constantly talking.
And then if you couple that with like being in, what was it, Gemini season,
Right.
that's like extra heightened.
Yeah, exactly. As we move into well, everyone's in different hemispheres, so that's why it's like when I think about the season, I know I'm thinking about the season that's in mine, but
Hmm.
Cancer
Right.
season, seasonally and weather, quote unquote, is different for other people throughout the world.
Yeah.
That's what is like interesting to me now that like I'm actually thinking about it. But I definitely feel like it's that moving into like that facing things, becoming yourself energy.
Hmm.
Gemini ruled by the twins, I feel like everybody has multiple layers of themselves, whether they show them to people or not.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gemini like helps that energy be figured out, especially if I were to go with the way society puts the calendar and starts things with how school ends around Gemini season. That would make a lot of sense of like, okay, like what person are you going to be in this season of summer where there is independence, there is freedom, you have the awareness of your mind, you're about to be aware of your feelings
Yeah.
with that Cancer energy.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And as well, for Cancer, being the
Hmm.
first water symbol, emotions are probably super heightened.
Right. That's why they're the
Like,
crab.
yeah. Is that crab as in crabby? Is that a normal thing?
Um, I feel like all water signs are like a little bit cranky.
Mhm.
I feel like for some reason. Um, just a different way of showing it
Yeah.
and how it's perceived by people. But I feel like the fact that they're ruled by the crab itself, like the actual crustacean crab,
Mhm.
and like how it has the hard shell and like the soft inside, and like that
Oh,
making sense
yeah.
to the connection to not wanting to open up,
Hmm.
hiding in the shell, figuring out how to face the feelings and be open about them.
Yeah.
But I have no Cancer in my chart, so they also rule the home as well, like your and mother energy,
Hmm.
stuff like that. I'm trying to think. Oh, Gemini just rules our sense of communication, Taurus resources, Aries identity, like who we strive to be. And then next is Leo. And
Hmm.
I feel like that's when like things start to get like heated. It's the second fire sign. It's learned from Aries. It's came to its point of knowing the importance of like valuing things, if that makes sense as well. Like after like surpassing those other zodiac signs, because Leos have that like territorial sense, that pride of protection of self as
Hmm.
well. And they rule the heart. And the heart in our body is really strongly connected to creation and as well as how we lead our life.
And so Leo season would be what per se?
I feel like that would be that time of just deciding, like, I don't want I feel like this might sound bad in a sense, but I don't want it to, of saying, like, how do you want to be perceived in the world? Because Leo gets the rep
Mm,
of like needing or wanting attention, but I don't necessarily feel like it's that. I feel like Leo is just a sign that's like, well, how do I want to present myself?
yeah.
I have the
I resonate
tools,
with that a lot. Yeah.
right? I have the tools. I've processed some of the feelings. I
Mm,
understand, like Leo learns not everything is for them, but like the right
mm,
things. Like that's why like the word attention with Leos is a very interesting thing, because an evolved Leo knows that attention is in the sense of, well, it's so free willingly given that it's more valued when it's given in a sense of importance or
mm.
meaningfulness, like
Yeah. Like the
something that like,
intention matters.
right, like something
Yeah.
that like hits the heart. Like you could say, and I actually just said this in one of the Leo readings. I'm like, in that like unevolved state, like sometimes, like even as a Leo moon, like sometimes I just like liked people or like thought somebody was a good person because they thought I was a good person. And I was like, well, you
Oh,
must
yeah.
have some good judgment. So, you know,
Mm,
like, and like that could be looked at as a sense of like maybe conceitedness or cockiness. And like that's not what I feel like all like Leos, just how like all Cancers or all Geminis or all Taurus or
yeah.
all Aries are like that. It's just that sense of the way they choose to free willingly play out that characteristic as well as everything else that's in their chart.
Yeah. That makes sense. And as a Leo, I would say like my process from being really prideful in the sense of prideful in a way that is how I thought others wanted to see me
Hmm.
versus like I say now, but like the last couple of years is more of like how I see myself and how I want to, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
like it's like more for me, it's more intentional.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't always like that. And when
Right.
it wasn't like that, it was like it really sucked.
Mm-hmm. That's that
Yeah.
like growth aspect to it of
Mhm.
where the the energy is there, but it transforms into something else. It has a
Mhm.
different meaning to it. And that's where I feel like with those types of things in the connection to Leo and the heart and having that intention and like knowing that intention, like with your evolution, isn't it like a little bit easier to see if like someone is meaningful or
Yeah,
views
I
life with meaning?
I feel like and this is probably my downfall or like I don't know, like a negative trait of mine, but I feel like I
Mm,
know in the first like couple of minutes of a
right.
conversation. Like I have a lot of business conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And in that first conversation I can usually tell like how intentional they are, at least about their
Right.
business or like about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then that determines how I approach them beyond that point.
Right.
That yeah, that answers your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, no, I feel like the same way in all aspects, like business, friends,
Mhm.
family, love, all of that. It's been an evolution of, you know, like not really knowing and then like having to figure it out through
Mhm.
experience of being friends with the person or having this person as a client and seeing like how people go on with their lives. And I just came to that realization, maybe it is my Leo moon, that there is that certain like meaningful feeling that I'm looking for
Mhm.
in people and experiences and what I'm watching. And I feel like since I am that type of person, maybe that's why like I did or have a strong Leo community, because like I do bear my heart and I do say things and I'm like, well, whoever, I don't even care if it was just hit the soul of one person. That's all I
Yeah.
needed, you know?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's what really like life is about. And I feel like Leo with the season itself heating that up and like warming the heart and things along those lines, I feel like it is definitely one of the stronger energies to move through.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's after Leo?
After Leo is Virgo. So that gives this sense of like structure, order, like how do you want to live your life?
Okay, so like you've tamed the lion. Now what do you
Hmm.
want to do with it kind of thing?
Right,
Mm,
exactly. It asks you to be in that energy of routine. I think they rule the stomach. Oh yeah, Virgo rules the upper intestine. So
interesting.
intestines, yeah. So connection to Virgo, sometimes people with strong Virgo in their chart or Virgos themselves like may
Hmm.
have like digestive issues,
Crazy.
things along those lines. Yeah. Bloating problems, trouble
Mhm.
going to the bathroom, things along those lines. And I definitely feel like now, as a bodywork practitioner, I'm able to see more of the connection to people,
Yeah.
just with the way that I present my business and how people respond to it.
Hmm.
And I Virgos also, they love the details, but that's where their downfall could be as well because they're hypercritical sometimes. They'll call something out that like kind of doesn't really matter. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
who was looking at that? That like a
Yeah.
Virgo would like annoy people in that sense some of the times. But you have a Virgo. No, you don't have Virgo. You're Taurus and Capricorn.
Right. I have
There's
Virgo
somebody
in
I know that
my
has Virgo.
Venus. I know that for sure.
So do you pay attention to the details a lot in like your connections with people?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. That's a Virgo
Mhm.
energy. Um Virgo Venus, I would say like likes and energy. I'm like, can you hear the background? Can you hear the lawnmower? Why does it always do it when we're recording?
Yeah, I can
Like
a little bit.
it's
It'll be okay though. We can. Yeah.
don't you guys lawn mow in the beginning of the day? Whatever. Anyways, so Virgo, if I were to think of like a Virgo Venus, it would kind of be like a reliable energy. Like you want somebody who is also reliable back.
Hmm.
Um, not good with unreliable energy.
Yeah.
And it's because you value giving that to people. So when you don't receive that back, it kind of messes with your value in the person. Um,
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Virgos are very like, I mean, my mom is a Virgo, and for most of my life, it was very, oh my gosh, like this lady's like about everything, like
Mhm.
you, and it's even now some of the times, although she's like learning, evolved, like stuff like that. It's just so funny. Like you'll take the salt shaker, and you only had the salt shaker for like 3 hours or something, and like it's 9 o'clock at night. Who needs a salt shaker? Where's the salt shaker? It's like, who needs the salt shaker at midnight? Oh, I just want to know where it is. It's not where
Yeah.
it usually
You know, it's
is.
it's funny because I have some of those same traits, but it's like
Virgo
it's
Venus.
not. Yeah, it's like not top of mind, but it's like for the peace of my mind. Like I just want to know like
Hmm.
where the thing is or like what's
Yeah.
going on, and like I don't even care if it's good or bad or yeah, I'm like completely indifferent. I just
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
She'll
Yeah.
like know details in like that sense too of
Mhm.
knowing how many forks there were. Like, okay, there's only 4 forks and I have 7 of them. So that means there's 3 forks missing. That means there's 3 forks somewhere in the house
Yeah,
that is not in the
that's so
kitchen.
strange because
Who
I do
has
so.
the forks?
Yeah, I do similar things.
Hmm.
Um,
It's funny now. I laugh at it, but like, as
yeah,
a kid, it was like super annoying.
yeah, I
I'm
can
like,
see
who
that.
counts the forks?
Yeah. And then what's after Virgo?
Virgo, Libra. So Libra
Okay,
comes in to bring that like order, structure. Let's see. Libra rules the kidneys.
interesting. Okay.
That is interesting. The kidneys have that sense of your adrenal glands are on top of your kidneys. So
And
it rules that
Libra's,
adrenaline.
is that an air sign?
Yeah,
Water sign? Yeah, air sign.
air.
Okay. Okay.
So they've learned the sense of like balance is good
Hmm.
because Virgo brings in that like, okay, we have the creative power from Leo. We know what we're doing. Let's get it done. And then
Mhm.
Libra gives the sense of like, okay, but hold on. You
Yeah.
have to have balance in life. You
Right.
can't just be trying to get done 24/7, 7 days a week, 365. There
Yeah.
needs to be some balance. And that's what Libra comes in and teaches. I don't have Libra in my chart either at all. Oh wait, I have a Libra. My vertex is in Libra, but like I don't know the vertex stuff. I only know like what my chart was saying. So the vertex stuff is new to me in astrology. But
Yeah. I'd never heard the term until we did that reading.
yeah, me neither. I was like,
Yeah.
what's that? So yeah, Libra, I definitely they get the stereotype as like charmer, indecisive.
Mm.
But a lot of Libras are beautiful people. Very, very
Yeah.
beautiful people. Um, that's Venus right there. Venus loves to give beauty to things. And justice, order, Libra is that Venus rules Friday out of the
Mm.
week. So, that like day that you decide to get ready and go out and do
Yeah.
something, like Libra is that
Interesting.
energy that gets ready. Yeah.
And it's
They
so
get
weird how
ready.
that plays out, like in
Hmm.
society, like the way society's structured now.
Right? It's
Yeah.
really crazy. I think
Yeah.
about it all the time, probably more than like your average person thinks about these things.
Yeah. Well, it's also like your job. Well,
Right.
yeah.
True. Yeah. So next is Scorpio, which is actually, we are in that season right now. And Scorpio
Mhm.
rules like that full transformative energy. They are the second water sign.
Mhm.
Do you have any Scorpio in your chart?
I do. I don't know what. Oh, it's in Pluto. Or
Oh yes, we so you have a Pluto in Scorpio, so that is
Mhm.
home in its sign. So Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. Pluto, well, no, not Pluto. Mars also rules Scorpio as well. And
Interesting.
Scorpio rules the lower intestines and the reproductive organs. So that's why they get the stereotype of being like sexual people.
Mm.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, which is so crazy. I was like, I knew they were in the lower aspect of the body, but I wasn't expecting it to say the reproductive organs. But that is their um, stereotype.
And then so Scorpio season is what typically?
That's Halloween time, and when like
Mhm.
all the leaves start to fall off the trees, and like that,
Oh,
like kind of like that more intense, dense air
like
comes
death,
in.
rebirth kind of thing. Yeah,
Right.
got it.
Exactly.
That
Yeah, so
makes
that's
sense.
why it kind of feels like darker around that time. I feel like Scorpio season for humans is like a dark night of the soul process. Like,
Mhm.
and I kind of feel like sometimes like Libra season, I feel like any season can bring that about, honestly. Um, but Scorpio gives, I almost want to say either an easier way to handle it or a harder way to handle it, depending on like how you present the energy
Mhm.
or
That makes
approach
sense.
the energy. Because I feel like if you were to use Scorpio season and you knew how to use the energy, it should be super beneficial and like helpful.
Right.
But if like it's like really difficult, hard, and being resistant towards, I could see it being like a darker season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That no, that checks out with like Halloween and everything.
And a lot of Scorpio people I know, very like intimidating, um,
Mhm.
have that like mysterious aspect to them. They don't show everything. They more of like a listener than a talker, Scorpios. Depending, I feel like
Strange.
maybe where they are at. But
Yeah. And then
um
what's after that?
next is Sagittarius rules the thighs.
Okay.
Okay, interesting. I have a couple Sagittarius placements. I have a lot of like obviously I have a Leo moon and Mars like in between there, but like I have a lot of lower aspects of the zodiac in my chart. So I have Jupiter in Sagittarius, which it is at home in, and I also have Pluto in Sagittarius, like I said before. And Sagittarius rules that like expansion type of personality,
Mhm.
um, where it kind of does what Aries would do, but in a more philosophical way,
Hmm.
to where they don't want to just have something, they want to learn about it. They want to teach it to other people on their journey. They like a Sagittarius would be someone that like goes to another country to like learn the culture and then comes back and like teaches it
Oh wow.
to
So like professor type people, probably.
right.
Yeah.
Where they just yeah, and that yeah, professor type of people, and especially like college professors or like those types of people that like, you ever had those professors where it was like, yeah, I teach here twice a day, twice a week, and then I'm at this college twice a week, and then I'm at this college
Mm.
once a month, and
So they're definitely ruled by Sagittarius, probably in their chart.
that's like that's very potent Sagittarius energy, so it's
Yeah.
probably in there somewhere, like that. Sagittarius is like known to be the optimist, but
So
if
what would that season be?
that season is mid November to mid December. Well, I would
Hmm.
say like kind of more like end of November to mid December. And that's where like you come out of Scorpio season, where you rise, you know, and you
Um,
find the light inside of that dark period where you become the optimist. And
so you get a little optimistic after seasonal depression. You have like a blip
right. And
of
then you have
optimism.
the learning lessons. Then
Yeah.
philosophically, you take what you learned from the dark night of the soul and
Mm.
you teach it to other people. Like a lot of the times in readings, I say that I'm like, the dark time of like when you ask people like, oh, what made you start this business, or what made you do this, or what made you do that, a lot of the time it's from that Scorpio destruction to Sagittarius rise energy, whether it happened around that season or not. That
Yeah.
is the type of vibe it brings, because now you're not only like rising out of that, you're
Mm.
making something from it. You're being the Sagittarius and telling everyone about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I do like Sagittarius masculine energies. I do
Mm.
like I my encounter with Sagittarius feminines have been a little bit interesting, because they definitely have, you know, with a philosophical type of energy, you could also have that like know-it-all vibe. And a lot of feminine Sagittarius, from my experience, have more of that like know-it-all vibe than the masculines do. The masculines have more of that like flamboyancy, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then what's next? Just is Pisces last, or
Next
is there one more?
is Aquarius, rules the lower limb. Um, Lower limbs. Okay, so if I'm trying to think, if
It'd be like your kneecaps to your ankles.
right, since Sagittarius rules the
Sagittarius.
thigh, yeah,
Yeah.
so it'd stop right there and then go to the limb. Okay, so they rule the calf. Yeah,
Mm.
the calf
Yeah.
muscle. Aquarius. Okay, so I have a lot of Aquarius in my chart. Actually, I do love the Aquariusness,
Hmm.
per se. And I have a Mercury in Aquarius and a Venus in Aquarius, and they're both in the house of Aquarius.
I don't think I have
Oh,
any in
wait,
my
we
chart.
skipped Capricorn. No, we went from Sagittarius to Aquarius.
Yeah, we must have
Yeah.
skipped Capricorn.
Capricorn rules the knees, like the actual
Uh,
knees, which makes sense because Capricorn is the hard worker, and like
oh wow. Yeah, yeah,
your
that's true.
knees would hurt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like Capricorn, like when I think about like the jobs that they do, like I think like construction.
Hmm.
So that kind of like gives me like knee vibes of
I
like,
have
you know,
a Capricorn moon, and I did a lot of construction in my life. Have done. Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
The connections. I've
crazy.
dated a lot of Capricorns, and one of them has a whole, actually, two, three of them have construction businesses.
That's
Now
crazy.
that I'm thinking about it, one of them was
Well,
like
so
family owned. So, like, it's been in
yeah, what would the that energy be then?
that. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So like that,
Mm.
it's kind of like the professor moving. I kind of like that you said that because now I can like use him through
Yeah.
the Zodiac.
Mm.
But it's kind of like the professor like learning everything, going to teach it, and then like putting it into a structured energy. Like Capricorn season would be like the test.
Mm.
The okay, what have you learned? Can you put it into your life now? Do
Ah,
you have the discipline? Right. Because it's one thing to have the knowledge, but if you
but
don't,
do you have the work ethic to like put it forward?
right, it's kind of like
So it's
having
like the
awareness.
action point. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right. It's one thing if
Yeah.
you want to manifest and you know how to manifest, but if you don't actually take the actions to do it, that's where Capricorn comes in. The
Yeah.
earthly actions. Hmm.
Interesting. That makes
Right.
sense.
I think I'm even
Okay.
making connections for myself.
I love it. And then after that is Aquarius. Is that correct?
Yes, that
Yeah.
rules the lower limbs. So they rule the calf, right?
Okay.
And they are ruled by Uranus. So
Hmm.
Uranus is that out of the box like genius energy, like
Hmm.
not everybody's a genius, so it's kind of seems rebellious.
Hmm.
That's like an Aquarius energy, like an Aquarius, like I have it in my Mercury, and I can like you can ADHD the conversation the whole time, and I'll be able to follow you through it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good to know.
right. Like you could
Yeah.
talk about 12 different things, and I'll make sure to go back to the first thing that you said to like bring it all back together. And but maybe after that conversation, I may have not remembered some of the stuff. But like
Yeah.
in the energy of it, I'll be
Hmm.
able to like make those connections.
Interesting.
Aquariuses have like quirky aspects to them. Um, they could be really, really, really mean. I feel like all air signs could be really mean. I feel like water signs are really mean too, but
I
only if
think,
you push
uh,
them.
yeah, say in my experience, I don't think water signs are mean. They're just, sh- I want to use the word shifty. Does that
Mm,
resonate? You know what I mean? Like not necessarily it could be in a bad way, but not necessarily in a bad way. But I think of like, I don't know, the water. It's not like it's one day it's like a big wave, next day it's like really still, and then the next day
hmm.
it's like a storm and it's crazy.
Right,
Um, and I feel like air is not those things.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the harshest people that I've met
Hmm.
have been Aquarius people. No, I
Interesting.
feel like air signs altogether, but there is like a specific Aquarius that I'm thinking of. I'm like, yeah. And even like the people that I've talked to as well. But
Hmm.
I like Aquarius people, but they just like they don't care. They don't really have a filter. That's
Yeah.
what it is with them.
So they're
Is that
like
they have that.
blunt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Which would make sense as to the explanation of the water that you kind of just said, Aquarius being the water barrier, of being that person of like, all right, yeah, here comes the water flow, or here comes the water nothing. Like
Yeah.
Aquarius will cold shoulder you hard.
Hmm.
Like I was good at
Interesting.
ignoring people for a lot of my life. You could be right in front of my face. I wouldn't even like give you the satisfaction of my eyes even skimming across your body.
It's so interesting.
Skills.
And so maybe we talked about it, but what season? Like what's Aquarius energy in the season like?
Aquarius is January into February, so
Hmm.
Aquarius kind of rules that like slight end where you kind of feel like winter's coming to its close. You can feel a little like that's when you kind of like can feel a little bit warmer winds, but it's not super prominent and it's not going to happen all the time. And that's
Yeah.
why I like that all of this is connected to nature because once I gave myself that strong awareness of it, I started to pay attention to
Mhm.
like the way things were in that. And I feel like Aquarius season gives that coming out of the coldness, but kind trying to figure out how to balance being detached and harsh and not taking no shit, but also moving into that Pisces empathic energy where you do want to be a helpful person. Because Aquariuses are the humanitarian. So, like, they want to be part of communities, they want to help the collective. But since they have that energy, if they don't get listened to, it could be difficult for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And
And
that's
then,
about it. So the Pisces, ruled by
oh
the
yeah,
feet.
yeah, Pisces. I know we
Hmm.
kind of touched on it, but I don't think we got super in depth.
Yeah, so Pisces ruled by the feet, either,
Hmm.
either foot problems, maybe even like ankle issues to an extent, um, or possibly even like really good at being a runner. Because everything has like its
Interesting.
dual sense of
Yeah.
every aspect of it. So Pisces is actually ruled by Neptune. They used to be ruled by Jupiter in the ancient times,
Mm.
but they are ruled by Neptune, which is our dreams, illusions, stuff like that. Um, our subconscious. Pisces season brings about things that could have been undiscovered and now discovered. Um, Pisces are sometimes stereotypical of like wearing rose colored glasses, seeing the good in things that don't deserve the good to be seen in,
Would that go both ways of like
right? Where they just see
seeing?
the bad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely. Especially because they have the two fish aspect. And
Yeah.
like, you can't even hold a fish, and there's two of them.
Mm.
So, could be a very like slippery ride with a Pisces
Yeah.
where you don't even know when you're about to trip next because you can't really
Hmm.
tell. You know, have you ever seen a mirage in person where it looks like there's a puddle of water, but then when you get closer
I
to
have
it,
not,
nothing's
but
there?
I know
But
what
you
you're,
know what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
There's a couple, I see mirages on like this one highway a lot. I
Mm.
don't know if it's just the way the sun hits it.
Mm.
And I like to feel like Pisces is like a mirage to where they are seeable until you get closer to them, and then they're very hard to read. I feel like a lot of the times Pisces is morphing constantly, and like I know because I do it. And
Yeah.
like sometimes I'll have an experience and I'll come back home and it'll feel like I didn't live the experience.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's creepy
So
sometimes. I'm like,
like,
did that really happen?
yeah, it's as yeah, so
Yeah,
many
it is.
questions,
It's
but
crazy.
yeah, it is really crazy. So
Hmm.
what's that part of the year? Like Pisces seasonal.
They're end of February, March.
Hmm. And
So
like that energy.
they are the shift from winter to spring.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
Aries is the springing, like
Yeah.
sprung, yeah, like
Got it.
the after effect, yeah. So Pisces gives that sense of after the cold winter, finding that like soft spot of the heart. But
Hmm.
it depends like where your energy goes because and it makes so much sense because of the closeness they have to Aquarius season where it's that I want to help everybody and then they are followed by Aries that kind of just like wants to be independent and do their thing. So
And
I
they're like
almost
stuck in the middle. Yeah. Like,
mhm,
yeah.
right. And then Aries has that like optimistic childlike wonder of all these new things coming in and then Aquarius is like, okay, you don't need all of that. You need to do
Hmm.
this. Let's help each other. Let's be there for each other. Um, Community is power. Don't go solo alone. So I definitely feel like there is that difficulty where like a lot of Pisces people like are depressed. They don't know themselves. They never like
Hmm.
get to figure themselves out. And like as a Pisces person, I mean, it's very
It's like
frustrating to figure
extra
out.
work than the normal person,
Right.
maybe. Yeah.
Because the subconscious plays such a hard role. And some
Yeah.
people, they don't even think. Like some people don't
Yeah.
even have a narration in their brain.
Yeah.
I bet you those people are not Pisces, I'll tell you that. So that is the way of all 12 zodiac signs from my perception and of what I've experienced and know. Obviously, we know most from our own experiences. So if anybody has any other experiences that they have seen throughout their life, their chart, their experiences with other signs and people and seasons, maybe even like pain in the body and things like that. We would love to know.
Yeah, please comment below. I think going through the seasons and paying attention to your body based on your astrology signs is really interesting. So if
Mhm.
we have any confirming evidence in the comments, that would be amazing. And then our next episode, we're going to be doing astral projections, talking about that, some of our experience, thoughts, and those kind of things. So thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.